So, Outer Terror is a stylish survivor type. It uses incredible artwork and a comic book form to tell the story. There are a total of 10 characters you can play as, and multiple stories with their own distinct enemies. This game definitely has one of those one more time feels about it. But let's take a closer look at this game and find out, is it just another pretty face, or does this game set the pace? Oh, I hated that. That was awful. But see, I feel like I gotta have a little bit more flair. You know, if I just came in and said, hey, let's talk about Outer Terror, let's see if this game sucks or not. I don't really feel like that hits the same. Anyway, let's get into the game, but before we do though, please hit that like, subscribe button. It means the world to me and helps the channel grow. So I feel like talking about my first experience with the game might be a perfect analogy for the game itself. So when you first started up, you are greeted by this amazing artwork. Truly, it's kind of like that old school, like horror comic book feel. Think of it like Tales from the Crypt or stuff like that, where it's actually more creepy than I think like just a lot of blood and gore is. And your characters and some of the NPCs and stuff like that, they have little profile pictures utilizing that artwork. But when you're in actual gameplay, the artwork definitely takes a back seat. Let's just say, is not exactly pretty, but while they're doing the storytelling, it's right there and it looks really good. But that's fine. Like, I understand what type of game this is. Being a survivor game, there's going to be tons of enemies, so the graphics usually take a back seat, especially on the Nintendo Switch. So I understand that. So when you do finally get started, you choose which comic or what story you want to hear, or read rather, and then you pick what character you want to use. Now you can use any character from any other story, or you can use the characters that go along with the story that you're currently playing through. Either way, you're then put into a survivor type battlefield. The enemies will approach you slowly and, gain more enemies as time goes on. But the one thing I noticed that was different when I first started playing this game was you have a special ability. So in like a lot of survivor games, number one, you don't have any control about where your projectile is going to go. In this one you do. You can actually move a reticle around that using like the right analog stick, and that will direct which way your projectiles go. You just don't choose when you actually shoot. But with your special, you do. And each character does have a significant different thing for their special move. One of the main character, like the first main character, has like a stick of dynamite. Another one has like a really big shotgun blast. So right off the bat, it really does make a difference on what character you choose. Now, it's not a huge significant difference, but it is a difference. Some games it's absolutely no different at all. But the second thing I noticed was items. So there would be corpses all over the ground, so to speak. Not like all over the ground, but you'll stumble upon them. And when you do, you can interact with them and you can pick up an item. Using either the left or right bumper is how you actually use the item. And these items range from like a med pack to double XP, things of that nature, and you can actually upgrade in the main menu to unlock different items like grenades or chainsaws, things like that. So it's a pretty cool aspect to the game. And so already there's some new ideas in here. A lot of survivor games don't have those things. They do have the upgrades, but using items, having a special ability that can turn the tide of battle, so there's quite a bit here already. And as you go through the level, taking off enemies, upgrading whatever you want to, whether it be like a shotgun or, the survivor type upgrades you can have, more defense, a health boost, something like that. You then figure out though that you're not just running in circles trying to wait out a clock. No, the game is actually directing you in places to go. And honestly, I feel like that's something that's needed in some survivor games. Give me a little bit of direction, give me just a little bit of things to do in a game, and that's what this offers. So there again, it's another new thing that you don't see in a lot of survivor games. Now, once you're able to follow some of the objectives that they want you to do, you'll trigger a cutscene, and that usually leads to a different objective, and the game plays on like that. Now, the thing that you can notice is that everything is timed. So at 10 minutes or so, you notice that there's more enemies. At around 20 minutes, the boss shows up. Now, the boss is incredibly spongy, and he'll go all over the stage. You can't really outrun him. You gotta face him to an extent. Using your specials as well as different items, you can eventually beat him. And this whole process usually takes around 25 to 27 minutes just to get through that stage. Now, here's my main experience. Following the boss fight, I saw the most terrifying image I've seen in this game. And no, it's not another boss, it's the error screen. The game just crashed. Knowing that I spent 28 minutes in this whole thing, beat a boss that was really spongy, and then nothing. It just all reset. So I thought, okay, that's fine. That stuff happens. And I went ahead and rebooted it and tried again to have the exact same thing happen. Now, this is about an hour I spent trying to play this game and nothing saved. Didn't get to keep any of the money, nothing. So it was all for naught. And what kind of makes it worse, and I should probably talk about this now, is remember how I said that there's objectives to the level, there's things to do? Yet none of them really matter. It doesn't really matter what you do. And I tried multiple times to see if maybe that the reason why the boss was so spongy was because I need to accomplish certain objectives. So I raced through them as quick as I could, and no, it really makes no difference. Even the game itself basically tells you this. After you get to a certain point, they're just like, oh, well, you better hide, because there's nothing we can do to stop this monster. And that's the entire game, I think, wrapped up in general. Yes, there is a lot of different things you can do. There's a lot of different options. Even aesthetically, the game looks really good and utilizes an artwork that I think is underappreciated by a lot. Like that sort of old school horror comic look is just awesome, and no game seemed to use it really. So the fact that they use that, the fact that they have these new ideas with specials and items and objectives, but the fact that the game is broke. You can go through this game and get past the final boss, and after that it crashes. At least on 2 of the 3 levels I played. One of them I couldn't beat, I'll be honest. But I'd spent a good 4 hours in general playing this game, and I just felt like after the final crash, I didn't have it in me to keep playing. And that's why I feel like that experience wraps up the whole thing. Yes, there's objectives. Yes, there's a really good aesthetic. The game looks nice. The game has more options, but it fundamentally doesn't work. Like they didn't put in the work to actually finish the game. And that's what bothers me about it, because it feels like this game was rushed, or it was made by 2 different development teams or 2 different people. I don't know who exactly made it, but it feels like there was somebody or a group that had a certain vision for it, but they weren't allowed to finish that. And it just feels that way because of the fact that it does have so many crashes. The objectives are kind of pointless, and things like, remember I said you can pick whatever story you want and you can pick whatever character you want, and it's fine, you can, but when you're actually going through the story, they use the other characters. Your character isn't in there until actual gameplay. It's just things like that that feels like it's not done. Like it could use another month or 2. This for me is a game that I would love to see patched up. I think that they're more than halfway there. 80% of this is a good, fun game. It's just that last 20%. Maybe include a little bit more, but definitely fix the bugs, the crashes. That's the biggest problem. You get rid of that, this is a pretty good game. But right now, with the bugs and everything, I have to give this game a 4 out of 10. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are if you check this game out, if you're looking at it, if this is something you've been interested in. Anything and everything down in the comment section below is much appreciated. I love each and every one of you. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.